Good evening. Here it is, March 2nd. I get a month off after tonight. 4 weeks Wendy Mans is coming in here so I can finally get my knee replaced. So I will miss you guys, but in 30 days, I'll be back. More like, I guess that's 35 days. So we continue with our shows, and we continue. I'll tell you, we're going to have if you've never been to the Ponderosa Zoo in Clinton, you need to go. But they're going to be on with one of those Madagascar animals. I don't know which one. On the 16th, we got Junior Achievement come on 23rd. We got a few other shows. And then we're going to have a special in May, 2 weeks, 2 hours a night, where we're going to have a special on legacy, nuclear cleanup around the country, locally. Got some special guests to talk about it, budgets. We're a science town. We have to do science consistently. Speaking of that, I'd like to thank Oak Ridge Utility District. I'd like to thank IB3 and Sean Gleason and Attorney Daniel Forrester for their sponsorship of this show. And here comes Hadley. We have the dog, the studio dog. And Hadley, say hello to everybody. She's up now. Annie's with me tonight, a long stay in Oak Ridge. Annie Cacheiro, who is the head of ADFAC. And I've worked with ADFAC back in the 90s some. See, now you guys can see her. See her?
Yeah.
Look, guys. Best of puppy. So anyway, the work that ADFAC does, you might think, well, they hand out electric bills and do some other stuff, but this is a big organization that does a lot of stuff. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. We've had a lot of nonprofits on. Hadley, you can stay, but you cannot drink my drink. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit tonight about ADFAC because I think people need to know more about it and all they do. We talked a couple weeks ago with, it's been a month now, free medical clinic, and there it is, folks. There it is. Yeah, they're getting nervous. Give me your back. It's okay. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about ADFAC and what they do, but first we're going to talk to Annie. Annie grew up in Oak Ridge.
I did.
Had a good time.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. She was one of the last homes going west in Roane County as a child, right?
Yeah, actually, we were in Anderson County by about 3 houses. So I grew up on a street that kind of gets split between
right
Anderson
across
and
from the
Roane.
sewer plant.
Yeah,
Right,
kind of.
yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So,
A little bit further out,
I actually grew up in Anderson County.
That's right. That helps you. I think being from home helps you a little bit. I lived up north for 20, 30 years, and I liked it. I lived everywhere, but and had a lot of corporate work. But I was ready to come home when my mother got older. So I've been back since 95, I guess, 94,
Okay.
95. So I've been back a long time.
Yeah.
Anyway, ADFAC, I remember in the county, ADFAC did a lot of work outside of the city of Oak Ridge and does
Correct.
stuff. So we have 3 areas we'll talk about,
Okay.
and I don't even know what the second area is, but I'm going to find out. Household assistance, you'd be surprised. Building houses, helping people. School supplies, and Appalachian housing.
Correct.
What is Appalachian housing?
Okay, so actually, household assistance is the rent and utilities program and the assistance program. And then Appalachian Housing Partners is the program that does home repairs and new home builds. And then school supplies does school supplies.
Do you use the weatherization grants too?
We do have some
I
assistance
wrote a couple grants
weatherization.
for that. That was pretty nice. We'd help people get upgraded and build. So your cycle comes in. You got all this. Tell us a little bit about. I want to know how much worse it is today than 3 years ago.
Gosh, that's a really great question because
COVID just had impacts on
COVID
everybody.
had some crazy impacts.
Yeah.
Actually, some good impacts for our organization because we actually ended up with quite a few additional grants during that period of time that came to us for us to be able to serve the community.
Sure.
So it actually was a very good couple of financial years for us because we were able to access those funds that we hadn't normally been able to get.
And what did you use those excess funds for? And has that money gone backwards since you've been here? I mean, a lot of people created alternative services, help people, and then they realize they go back to their 500 from the 700. I think Free Medical and some others talked about that.
Yeah.
That nonprofits got a big boost during
Correct.
COVID, but then they had to readjust their budgets. and
Correct.
stuff.
We're in the readjustment process as well. So we had some big grants that came through, and all of that money was very specific for rent and utilities, emergency assistance,
Sure.
just to keep families in their homes and avoid eviction and avoid power
Sure.
shutoffs. So that was huge during that
Emergency
period of time.
funds, sure.
Absolutely emergency funds.
Yeah.
And we also had some grants that were for food, so we could give away food vouchers and those kind of things. So that was also really
Let's talk about
important.
food vouchers. How does that
Okay.
work? I come down, I said, look, I got 3 kids. I lost my job. I need help. You give the voucher, is it from a particular grocery store?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's one particular grocery store that we can give gift cards to. And the good part about that grocery store is that they actually remove the ability to buy tobacco products, and the grocery store also removes any kind of alcohol. So you can't purchase those two items with this particular store. So it works out really well.
And the point is, it's not that all those things are bad in themselves. It's that they're not emergency issues.
They're not emergency food. If you're going to give a food voucher to a family, you want them to be able to buy their food for their children and for their family.
That's right.
So it's really important that they have those restrictions on them.
How many families were helped? How many? I mean, just give me just guess.
Every year, or like during COVID?
During when in the increase, was there a lot more people being helped?
A lot more. Yeah. I mean,
What do you think? Just sick or lose jobs or couldn't go to work?
All of that.
I found all the
of that.
employers were pretty sympathetic to that stuff. Our problem was when we geared back up, we couldn't get anybody to go to work.
That was challenging, I'm sure.
Right.
So we had a lot of our clients, or actually a lot of new clients that came to see us during that period of time, were people who worked in the service industry and they didn't work for a while. There was a period of time where they weren't working, and it was before the federal money started kicking in.
Yeah, good
so
point.
there was a period of time there that
there,
was really painful.
Like the fast food restaurants and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's the majority.
And a lot of those people are single mothers with children, and it can be, not to take anything away from the men that work in those industries, but we all call it whatever you want to call it. Women have an undue burden of responsibility in this country when it comes to those kinds of issues.
Well, and it was just difficult during that period of time as well because there was so much uncertainty, right? So people didn't know if they were going to be able to go back to work. They didn't know when that was going to happen. They didn't know when the federal money was going to kick in. And so they could come to us, and we were doing all of this over the phone. I mean, none of it was in person, and we were doing it all over the phone, but still able to help people. And I mean, truly,
how do you get a voucher if you're over the phone?
Oh, well, at that time, the only vouchers we use are like food cards, and I don't think we did those during the middle of when we were all shut down.
I got you.
And then we went through a period of time for a while where we still weren't doing in-person meetings, but they could come to our door, wear a mask. We'd wear a mask on the inside. We open the door and pass off whatever we happened to have for them. So there was some exchange, but it wasn't like in-person counseling meetings.
Take your organization from the top to the bottom. Tell us what the structure is and how many employees, but what do they do, and just work down it for me so we can have a better understanding of how important this is.
Okay, so ADFAC is a nonprofit 501c3. We were established in 1987. Very, very local grassroots organization.
No question.
We are a staff of 10 right now. Most of us, I wouldn't say most, but almost all of us are part-time, 30 hours or less. We're about an 8-person full-time equivalent. And then we have a board, an oversight board of about 17 folks who, oversee the organization.
Which our good friend Brad Jones is on that board.
He is. Brad has been on our board for 5 years.
I can only imagine.
He's awesome. We love having him.
I'm going to let that go.
Nope, he's
great.
He's
a guy. Brad has a great heart. He does a lot for a lot of people.
Yep, he sure does.
And he's knowledgeable. He's street knowledgeable. He understands things. He's involved in so much stuff on television.
He is.
That's all you get, Brad.
He's a good guy for sure.
Yeah, he is a good guy.
Yeah, so we've
got 10. Now, what are they doing?
I'm the director. I've been there 14 years, and I probably have.
It's a long time for a nonprofit.
It is a long time for me to be there. I've been, I just do, board relations and community relations and donor information, that kind of stuff. And then we have a development director who does all of our marketing, and she does, most of our donor care information. And then she also writes our grants.
What is donor care information?
Donor care information is like keeping up with the data, like keeping up with the donations in a database.
So you can go back to those people and when you need something.
Just keeping track of all those donations.
Sure.
And then she does also our grant writing. And then we have our social workers that work in our household assistance program. They're all master's level social workers who are phenomenal. They work with these families one-on-one and really kind of have a really hard conversation sometimes about everything from budget.
Are they educated social workers?
Absolutely. They've got master's level social
MSWs?
Uh-huh.
You know what's interesting? When I graduated in the late 70s, that's the only way you could make a living. Psychology degrees and history degrees, you had to get an MSW if you wanted to get anything done. They were paid well, though.
We're glad to have them. They're very talented. They're very skilled.
Are they retired or are they full-time?
Oh, no, they're full-time.
Wow.
Well, they're all like 30 hours, something like that, except for our director of programming. And
I guess I wonder how you get a social worker to work 30 hours when they have responsibilities, budgets, families. It's got to be a unique situation when you say.
It is.
Okay.
It is, but it works really well. And then our other program, our housing program, is our staff there are professional administrative type folks who are managing those grants and managing the builds of the homes and managing the donor care, not donor care, the client care there. Because when you are building a home for someone, there's a lot of interaction, a lot of back and forth, a lot of meetings, a lot of credit improvement, a lot of homeowner education. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
You still at the Presbyterian Church?
We are.
In the back, yeah. That's
We are. We've been there, I think, since the very beginning.
You have, yeah.
And we're very blessed to have that donation to us.
Yeah. Good people. I can remember Mr. Shugart. When he went to church there, and he did a lot of work, and his family, and his daughter Nan was 78 or 9, just a great family, very socially active and caring. I really thought a lot of them.
Nan was on our staff for a few years as
Was
a social
she really?
worker. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, she just left like 6 months ago. So
wow,
yeah.
Great lady. I haven't seen her in 40 years, but great lady.
She is a great
30 years.
lady.
Yeah, I mean, she was great then.
Yeah,
they
she's
all
still
played
great.
ball and stuff, and they were all basketball players, and they were pioneers in those times. There weren't a lot of opportunities for women, and a lot of things.
I have heard the stories, and I believe that she's a really neat lady.
Yeah, she is great. Okay, so everybody housed in the location? All your staff?
Yes, all of our staff is there except our school supply coordinator. She works from home, but everybody else has some kind of space at our offices.
Interesting. So we're going to take a break in a minute, but let's. What is your day like? Just give me a normal day.
You want my day or like a social worker's day? Because my day is not as interesting.
That's great. That's great. Well, tell me a social worker's day.
Okay, I would say a social worker's day is typically filled with at least 3 to 5 appointments. Well, 2 to 5 probably, depending on the day, of meeting with someone, verifying their eligibility based on their income, based on their situation, having that conversation about what brought them there, because I think that is the hardest part. And I always say I could not be a social worker because I think I don't have the training, first of all, but it's hard. It's hard work when you have someone who is at that point of they've got an eviction or they've got a cutoff notice. First of all, it's really hard to ask for help. And secondly, it's hard to have those conversations about what decisions they've made that got them to that
Does a social
moment.
worker have to interact on electrical stuff? I mean, they don't have to do that, do they? If I need help on my electrical bill, I don't need to see a social worker, do I?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You would call, you would ask for an appointment, you would meet with a social worker. They talk about their budget, they talk about
Seems like you
your
got to hurry
situation.
when your electric's cut off.
And so we have a turnaround. We have a pretty quick turnaround. Somebody calls us and says they need help. We try to get them in within a day or two and have that appointment.
All right. Let's take a short break, check on Hadley, and we'll be back.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, Visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. Once again, we thank Sean Gleason of IB3, Daniel Forrester, Oak Ridge Utility Districts, Fan Gear. We got a lot of people. Fan Gear Barn. Got it. Craig always gets me on that. There is the neatest place right across from the hospital in Security Square. Mm-hmm. Really neat place where he's got, his dad collected, oh gosh, it's got to be thousands of sports items over the years.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's open, and he's spending the next 2 or 3 years just liquidating everything.
Wow.
And it's just, if you haven't been, you're a sports fan, get down there across from the hospital in Security Square, just walk through it. They've probably got 500 jerseys, collectibles, everything. It's great. I want to talk about, I've been involved in writing grants and doing things, and I want to talk about fentanyl and drugs.
Oh, well, that's not okay. That's not an ADFAC thing, but I'll talk about it.
But the people that come to you
Okay.
have drug issues.
I'm sure it happens, yes.
It happens more than you think. Not because you're not supposed to. I've always argued, so what? I still got to help them? That was always my food argument when I was doing food. I just think they still need help. And it's usually one person impacting 4 in the family. And that's the problem. And you can get them all the help you want if they don't change their collateral friendships and everything else. But that's a different issue.
It is.
But I'm saying with the drugs and all of the side problems, your social workers, they're just trying to get quantification for the grant. They're not having to worry about trying to help these individuals psychologically or mental health behavior and all that, right? You don't engage far enough to try to get them counseling or...
Oh, no, that definitely if they pick up on any of those issues, for sure, they are making referrals to other locations. We have working partnerships with Family Justice Center.
And they follow up? Let's talk about Melissa. We'll come back to this in a second. I like
Family Justice Center. We work with them. We work with Ridgeview. We work with Helen Ross McNabb. So, no, if we realize that there's a problem, whether it's alcohol and drug issues or whether it's a mental health issue, our social workers are at that level of education and skill that they will turn around and make those referrals and help them even make the appointments if needed. So, yeah, we can't take it. I know, she's so adorable. We can't do like a whole holistic approach to it, but we certainly do try. And we certainly do try to make
it's
all those.
Tough.
It's tough, but it's important.
Oh.
We're actually getting fentanyl training, not fentanyl, but Narcan training next week. Our staff is because
it's funny. I've
felt like
had
it was
knee
important.
surgery, and I've got I'm not a big type personality. Diet Cokes maybe, but I gave them up for Lent 1 year, and I did it. Nobody believed I could do it. So anyway, what do you want?
Attention.
Okay, you're right. So I guess my issue is we're trying to deal with economic circumstances that are being created by, and my wife's in the probation business, and she is the misdemeanor probation manager for Anderson County and does different things, and she's also a county commissioner. And I want to just say this again: domestic violence. I've written enough justice grants 20 years ago that I know how it works. And I'm talking to Wendy and Bert and everybody. We got to have a women's shelter. I mean, they've tried a couple of different ways, but we need to figure it out. And we're going to try to do some stuff with the federal government here in the next months ahead because there's some money out there. But I mean, it's just you ship the hotels here. And those 3 ladies that work at the Family Justice Center are committed. They are phenomenal. And I would really like to see Melissa and them get the help they need. And Dave Clark's just a wonderful DA.
Absolutely. They've done a great job with that. And we're thrilled to be one of their partners. I mean,
she's got like 50 partners.
Oh, they call us and say,
first, who are your partners? Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah,
bang.
she's got a huge list, and that's important.
Yeah.
And I think it
But they're your partners, too. I mean,
they are. And
it
speaks to our community. I mean, I try to say this whenever I get a chance to say that, and that is our nonprofits really work well together.
And that's an Oak Ridge thing.
It's a county thing. We work with
Good.
we work
Good to
with
hear.
as many of our nonprofit partners as we can. Somebody calls, they need our help. If we can't help them for some reason, we're trying to figure out who we can send them to.
That makes sense, though, right? Everybody should do that, right?
If we've got a client that doesn't qualify for our program, but we know they qualify for somebody else's, we're going to try to connect them with that program. Same thing with these other nonprofits. They do the same thing. If someone shows up at one of their doors and says, I need help with rent or utilities, they're going to first ask them, have you already talked to ADFAC? Because that's where you need to go first. Like you go there for that. You come here for this.
I mean, that's almost a brand. Everybody in town knows ADFAC is utilities. I know St. Mary's did it for a while. They'd hand out hotel credits and
Sure.
electric credits. But it's gotten to the point over 10 or 15, 20 years, and I know other churches have as well.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to the point where everybody's just conceded that let's use ADFAC and send what money we can to ADFAC.
It makes sense. It makes sense because we can track it and we can take care
and
of
you're
it.
efficient. It's what you do.
It is what we do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're proud to be in that place, and we're proud to be able to do that. We have, I think what's neat about ADFAC is we kind of have this variety of things that we do to help towards self-sufficiency.
And it's evolved from the beginning, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the core.
36 years ago, they didn't do
that.
that's right, in the beginning.
Yep.
Tell me about. We'll talk some more. We got a second break here in 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
You're building a home on Waddell Circle.
Yeah.
You got 2 more coming.
Yeah.
But you just don't throw homes up every week. I understand. Your land bank helps you secure land for that kind of stuff.
For these projects, yes. Yeah. And then we have it's a THDA loan. It's called a
Housing Development
Yep.
Association.
And
They've got a
that's
lot of money. They just need to pass it through.
Yep.
It's the problem in the federal government, which I do more work with now in appropriation. It's just hard to find people that are really you want to send money to do work, and you guys have that reputation, right? I mean, so that's good.
We work for it. Yeah.
It's
important.
You do a great job on
Thank
that.
you.
36 years old, always at the First United Presbyterian Church.
Yes.
Come back. We're going to talk a little about some of the ways you raise money. How are your grants dependent on matching funds? Some of
them are. Yeah. A lot.
Discretionary money, I get it. You can have work you do, volunteer work you do. All that adds up. I've written enough discretionary grants to know that you can do that.
Yeah.
Some require some financial commitment, though.
They do. And I think the biggest way we are able to do that most of the time is through our United Way grants, because our United Way grants are locally determined, locally funded, and so a lot of times these other grants really like the fact that you're a United Way organization, that you have that partnership, because that kind of gives you that good seal of
approval. And people don't realize, we were talking earlier, $2 million of programming funds come into you every year. That's a big operation.
It's a lot that we do, yeah.
And when you talk about when you talk about houses and utilities,
Correct.
It goes fast.
It goes fast, and it's super important that we keep doing what we're doing. We keep trying to help the families that we can help, and because people say, well, you helped them once, do you help them again? Sometimes you have to.
I was always under the impression that there was a framework for how often you can pay utilities. If I come to you for help, I have to wait a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Don't quote me, but I think it's 6 months. There's a period of time. It might be 3 months. I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't want to create a sustainability thing where they don't care. That's right. They don't
Correct, because our whole goal is for them to become self-sufficient. But sometimes some families are not in position to be self-sufficient at that moment. It might be a loss of job. It might be a health issue. It might be a variety of different reasons.
But you can find that's when your network becomes important, because
Extremely.
I gave them 1 month, somebody else has got to step in and help them.
And sometimes the churches in town step in, or sometimes other organizations can step in. But
and I know you talk about the county, but Oak Ridge has always had a tremendous history of within the camp getting things like that done.
And I think a huge part of it is the nonprofits are willing to work together, because that doesn't happen in every community. We're really good
because you're trying to all find dollars.
Yeah,
That's right.
and we all know we're each other's competitors to some extent, but we're also very good about working with each other.
All right. Chandler, we're going to take a break, and we're going to take one more break here, and I want to go through, when we come back, I want to talk about all of the different campaigns, repairs, geography, and everything.
Okay.
So stay tuned. ADFAC.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Welcome back. We're going over a list of all the topics for conversation. ADFAC does so much, I'm having trouble keeping up with it. We're going to talk about current activities, annual appeal campaign.
Yep.
I got to tell you, Brad sent me a picture. The first picture he sent me,
Okay.
you had a bow tie on and a formal dress.
Oh, yeah.
From the, I called him back. I said,
Yeah.
we're talking about poor people. We're talking about helping poor people. She doesn't want to be in that picture to be out there. She wants a regular picture. I know this one. She does work in the community. It looks like she got $1 million dress on.
Oh,
He said,
no,
that's
I
from the fundraiser. She was there. I
was.
said, anyway, we were joking about it. So
No worries.
tell
No
me
worries.
about the annual appeal campaign. It's
Okay.
once a year.
Yeah.
Kind of like St. Mary's has a gal for the
Yep.
school, and the medical clinic does their thing. You have a thing too.
So we do a couple of different fundraisers during the year. One is this mail out that's going out this week, actually. Our annual
Okay.
appeal is going out this week. And it is just it's a letter campaign, old-fashioned letter campaign.
Oh, sure.
Requesting support from the community. So that's our largest fundraising effort during the year. That's,
Only to individuals or to businesses too?
we do some to businesses as well, yes. And then our bow tie event is actually the big
Which is the
fundraiser.
reference to the picture, yeah.
Yes, that's where the picture came from.
I
Our
guess.
bow tie event will be held November the 4th, and that is our largest event fundraiser. And this year we're honoring Barry Stevenson from McLink. So it's very exciting. He's a really awesome dude, and
I've met him once.
he's a really neat man. So we're looking forward to that a whole lot. We had a committee meeting yesterday and had some really fun ideas, so it's going to be a good event. So that'll be November the 4th. Oh, yeah, see, that is my other dress. That's from Bow Tie.
I know.
You could have...
No, I like the other one. I like the other one. I'm going with the Mother Teresa thing. I'm not going with the First Lady.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it works.
So that's like our fundraisers. And then
Okay.
we have, we also are in the
Tell me about
process...
the bow tie thing.
Okay.
When is it? Where's that held?
Okay, it'll be held at the Doubletree November the 4th. And it is an event that we honor
Is
an
that a
individual.
Saturday or
It's
Friday?
always on a Saturday.
Okay.
And it's honoring an individual who has the characteristics and community spirit of the late Bill Wilcox. And
Bill's a good guy.
He was
Down the
an
street from
amazing man, and this is our 11th year, and it's just turned into a really interesting event, because each year it kind of changes based on the personality of the person that we're honoring. So it picks up their personality traits, their likes, their history, and so it's really a lot of fun, and it is a nice big fundraiser for the organization too.
Good.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of people. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one. Now we're going to go to talk about the new homes are being constructed on Whitell Circle.
Yep, we've got one home that will be breaking ground on Whitell Circle any day now,
Okay.
and that's going to be for a homeowner here in Oak Ridge.
Do you pick your homeowner before you build the house?
Yes, they do. They do.
So
They go-
who makes that selection?
It goes through our process of our staff evaluating them based on their applications.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And do you get a lot of applications?
We'd like to have more, actually, of people who are interested in becoming homeowners and people who might need home repair. Absolutely.
The weatherization grants we talked about earlier, I've written a few of those grants where
Okay.
basically you can do improvements, right? To windows, roofs, things of that nature.
Yeah, they're not always weatherization. I think the ones we have now are also based on safety. So it can be safety or home improvement for energy saving, but predominantly safety issues. And a lot of our grants right now specifically are for elderly homeowner-occupied homes. Now, I don't like what they call elderly. They define elderly as 60 and older. I don't like that. Because elderly doesn't sound right to me.
I get it, though.
The closer I get to it.
Well,
But
most of us are working. I'm adding up the graduation years. You're 55. See, I'm trying to figure it out. See how I do the graduation. I have to remember. I just think in this country there's a migration to elderly to the point where there's just most elderly in our area are pretty self-sufficient. Most.
you would think that. But
I do think
honestly, we have a lot of people in the county. When you look at the county-wide, and we also actually serve Morgan County and Roane County too.
Morgan County, yeah.
So
And
those
all my
communities
in-laws are from there.
have a lot of older
Keep forgetting
folks
this. Keep forgetting this.
who are
The map's different.
living in homes that are falling apart around them.
Yeah.
But yet they can still
It had
live
been for decades.
But they can still live independently. If we can go in and just do a little bit of a home repair, they're able to stay there safely.
Who does the repairs?
If it's a significant home repair, it's done by a contractor. If it's like painting a wall, we can sometimes get volunteers to help us do that. So it kind of depends on the projects, but most of them are contractors.
We
do
have
it.
now. You corrected me on the Appalachia. I appreciate
Yep.
that. We got Anderson, we got Campbell, we got Roane, and we got Morgan.
Depending on the program. Yeah, some programs go to all those counties and some don't, based on funding.
What does Morgan County get?
Morgan County has, we can do home repairs, we can do new home builds, and we have school supplies in almost every school in Morgan County.
Which is important.
Incredibly important.
Huh.
That school supply program is phenomenal and is helping over 4,000 kids a year. So it is significant.
That is tremendous.
It is
And
tremendous.
there's a lot. I haven't looked at it in a long time because of grants. I don't write grants in 15
Yeah.
years. But the number below the poverty level is always high in Morgan County.
It's high in Morgan. It's high everywhere. And
Roane and Anderson are different, but
yes, but the numbers are still pretty high. They're
Yeah.
higher than you think. And
Yeah,
there's
probably
just
so.
a whole lot of kids that are either at or below that poverty level where mom and dad are trying to decide, do I pay a utility bill or do I buy my kid the backpack that they need? And that decision making is very difficult. And if we can take that one worry away from them,
when
then
you give them school supplies, do you give them backpack?
they get a backpack and it's filled with school supplies specific for their school and their grade. So if you're a third grader at Bryceville, your backpack is going to look different than if you're a third grader at Linden. It's whatever the school asks for in those school supply lists.
You know, my wife was born and raised in New River.
Okay.
So I think they all went to, she moved to Cofield when she was very young.
Yeah.
But I think that, don't the New River kids go to Bryceville? I'm pretty sure they do.
I don't know that answer.
It's way over the mountain.
I know it's not close, but I do know that, yeah, a lot of those different schools.
Outstanding people, though. Let me tell you, the people in New River are God's gift. I mean, they mind themselves. They're self-sufficient. They're tough.
Yeah.
They're tough. I like them.
So it's cool. It's cool to be able to help those communities in that one small way.
You know, I always joke that New River always reminded me of Pittsburgh, which I spent a dozen years in Pittsburgh, in that on every corner there's a church
Okay.
and a bar.
Okay.
New River doesn't have the bars, but they got a church
I was
on
gonna
every
say, I
corner.
don't-
They got
I
a
don't
lot of
have the
churches
bars,
up
yeah.
there, et cetera, et cetera. But we come from a different culture. But we make it to both usually. Okay, so 2 additional homes are coming next year.
Yes.
Where are they going to be built?
They're also in Oak Ridge. That's what the grant that we got currently is. The one on Waddell Circle, and then we've got 2 other ones in OakRidge that we've worked.
Would they be in urban zones, or
Yes.
what's the word we're looking for? In the
Yes,
grant?
they're probably going to be in.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it depends on what where we get the land from Land Bank, but one's going to be on.
That's a donation, right?
Actually, we purchased them for a very, very low price.
Okay.
So,
But you do.
it's a good partnership with the Land Bank. So one's going to be like kind of near Linden on that end of town, and the other one's going to be on West Outer.
Okay.
So that's where the other 2 are going to be.
I see it steering towards where you grew up and not where I grew up. See, all the houses are being built in the Robertsville zone, where us people in Jefferson, we're not getting much.
There's not any land. You got to find the land.
I know. I'm just
the land's the
joking.
challenge.
I'm just joking. I was being interviewed after a basketball game. I was playing for Middle Tennessee State, and the guy came up to me on the meeting. He says, was that we lost 92-91 in overtime. He said, was that
sorry.
the toughest loss? I said, no, let me tell you about Jefferson Robertsville. And I went into this spiel right after losing about how much
Sorry, I'm a Robertsville girl.
I know you are. Well, you lived
Can't help
almost.
it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Can't help it.
It trains you for working with a disadvantage.
No.
Kid Keith Fellhauer all the time. He coached his first year of coaching, or second. I was in 9th grade. So
He was an awesome teacher.
yeah, he was a good teacher. Civics. You have him in civics?
I did.
I liked.
did.
I had some guys. I had some people in Jefferson that were. Tom Hayes was outstanding, and we had some good. But civics is a great course.
I think that those 2 teachers were. I had Keys Fillauer and Berkey, and they were amazing. To this day, I wish my kids could have those kinds of experiences. They have civics classes, but they're not quite.
I sat through
They're
that
not quite what
convention.
I did.
I sat through that convention when I was in college.
Yeah.
One of my friends graduating in 80 was there, and he was running for something. So me and a couple of political officials went down there in 1979 or 80,
Yeah.
and it was just unbelievable. I mean, he got
It was
a lot
fun.
done. Yeah, he did.
It was a lot of fun.
Delegates and stuff. All right, back on our specialization.
Yeah, what's our topic? Yeah.
That's where we're going. Okay, school supply program has
Yes.
been going for 30 years. So what
Yes.
you do is you get these requests from these school systems, and the total number that you give out total, how many students?
About 4,400 this last summer.
Wow. And spread over how many counties?
Anderson, Campbell, Morgan, and Roan.
All 4 get
Yeah,
school supply.
and I think Roan and Morgan, where we're not in all the schools yet, we're branching every year a little bit more, growing a little bit more. That program started out with, I think, just the Oak Ridge schools, and then we went to Anderson County.
Seems
and
like
then
the
we started building and building
superintendent
and
would
building.
sign off for everybody. You got to work principal to principal?
No, I mean, we just don't have the funding to do it for all the schools. We're
My-
slowly
my
getting
bad,
there.
I get
Every year, we're getting a little bit more and able to do a little bit more. But
And you said a pack is about 50, so you got 4,100. You're basically dealing with $150,000 to $200,000 in school supplies.
just in the school supplies, yeah.
You know, my good friend up in Lake City, Tim Isabel,
Yeah.
about 8 years ago, Commissioner Isabel, went out and bought 300 or 400 packets for kids and gave it out, and they were really appreciative of that in the Bronxville area. So I think there's some people in the community that have tried to lead on some of those things. But you're right. There's nothing worse than going to school and except for not having a meal.
Yep.
You know,
Agreed.
I tell every political person I know in D.C., look, I don't care if you're conservative, liberal, whatever, you got to vote for a WIC program. I was there when we started in 1980, 81. I helped out with that. Yeah, we traveled a lot. I said, it's got to happen. They got to have food. You got to have breakfast programs. We got to have food. After that, you can argue over what to teach and where to go and whatever, but they got to get some food.
They have to have food in their stomach to be able to do what they need
And
to
that's
do.
the best program. I actually took Congressman Weiss and others. I actually walked them through the program in Anderson County and some others, a couple other federal officials, just talking about how important it was. Just something I had a lot of experience with, so I
Yeah.
could testify to it a little bit better than
Very
some
important.
other stuff. Yeah, I mean, just basic common sense.
It is, and you know, we've learned that if a child walks into school, first with a full belly, but secondly with a backpack full of their needed supplies, they're in the right mental state.
How do you
If they're
select the
walking in-
backpacks? I mean, kids are so themed oriented.
Oh my gosh! So Becky Hook, our coordinator, is phenomenal, and she researches all year long
The
to
most
get a
popular
wide
ones.
variety, what's out there, what kids want.
Girls
but
and boys, yeah.
girls, boys, different age brackets. You've got them everywhere from the cute little princess ones from kindergarten all the way up to, nice ones that are sporty and stuff for the high school kids. They are great quality. She works very hard to get them at a great price, and so she negotiates with all these different places so that she can stretch our dollar as far as she can. And that way these kids get quality backpacks that have zippers that work, that have the right school supplies in them, so that the day that they're walking into school, they're going to be ready to learn. because they've got what they're supposed to have. And that's huge when the teacher says, okay, everybody pull out your pink folder that you're supposed to have for third grade.
And the school
They've
supplies
got
you
'em.
with a list of things
We
that
get the
they're
list
doing
from them.
on every level, grade level.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing how much we're doing for people. I mean, when you look at it, what the nonprofits in this area do, it's really amazing. I haven't
is
seen a lot
amazing.
of it. You know, a lot of it in certain areas is church-based and
Yeah.
and different things, which is good.
Yep.
But I mean, to have the coordinated effort you do with all the nonprofits, it just makes it a better delivery system, I think. And the compassion is still there.
It is. And I think what's really, like I said before, it's nice because we all try to work together to make sure that we're helping families throughout our community. I think it's just really, really important.
Very good. We'll finish up here. And go ahead, Chandler. Give us another break, and then we'll move on to the final segment.
Daniel Forrester has been recognized as one of East Tennessee's leading attorneys for nearly 2 decades. Civil disputes, criminal defense, divorces, and juvenile custody cases are all part of an impressive resume. Daniel's legal experience also includes representing clients in local, state, and federal courts. A husband and a father, Daniel is a Rule 31 certified mediator who has represented hundreds of families in Chancery Court. Call Daniel Forrester Law Office at 865-457-7900 for a free consultation.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Fan Gear Barn is Oak Ridge's source for new and vintage sports fan gear from around the world of sports. Find your favorite team gear at Fan Gear Barn, located at 977 Oak Ridge Turnpike, across from the hospital. Open 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Closed on Sundays.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
When should you get tested for COVID-19? You have symptoms of COVID-19, such as runny nose, congestion, sore throat, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle pain, headache, chills, or loss of taste or smell. Current testing recommendations say everyone should get tested immediately if they have symptoms of COVID-19. If you have symptoms, be sure to follow recommendations about how long to stay home and away from others. For more information, visit our If You Are Sick or Test Positive webpage.
In East Tennessee, winter can be a wild ride of constantly changing weather and cold outdoor fun. Warm up with natural gas heat, hot water, cooking, and soft, comfy clothes. More affordable and reliable than electricity, natural gas makes homes cozy and more valuable. Whether you're a contractor or savvy homeowner, switch to natural gas for your primary energy source. Visit us online at orud.org or call today. Oak Ridge Utility District, your affordable energy source.
Okay, welcome back. We're got our last segment here, about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. We're going to talk about more about ADFAC. Tell me about your partners. Do you do any joint ventures with anybody? I mean, do they have anywhere you might have you and Melissa and Naomi or somebody all come together and do something? Do we have any of that kind of stuff going on?
Let's see. We do work closely with our other housing partners in Oak Ridge, so like Habitat for Humanity and Oak Ridge Housing
Think about
Authority.
that. They still building, right?
We actually all
Kind of doing what Habitat does, aren't you?
Yeah. So we all kind of are building homes and trying to get families into single-family homes, and we all do home repairs, and so it's really important that we all kind of work together. So sometimes it may be that ADFAC pays for the housing, not the housing, like the we might pay for the lighting package for one of the Habitat new homeowners, or they might do, we try to partner with
That's
each other to make
fantastic.
sure these
That's
families
fantastic.
get what they need.
Who runs Habitat now?
Charlotte Bowers.
Charlotte Bowers. I've heard of that.
Yep.
That's a great organization.
It is.
So many people have volunteered and done different things with
Yes.
it. Famous people, too. Jimmy Carter, obviously, being
correct.
the one we
Yes,
think the most.
correct.
But a
Yeah.
lot of people have been involved in that.
Yeah.
Their qualifications are different than yours?
They're really similar, I believe. I mean, I can't get down to the numbers right now, but yes, I think they are pretty similar. And they serve Anderson County and they might serve another county. I forget, that might be Roane. I think so. But we just all try to work together. And so
Same mission.
same mission, helping families. And sometimes it might be that they meet our qualifiers better than they meet theirs. And sometimes they might meet theirs better than they meet ours. And so it's just important that we communicate and go back and forth.
You're in the housing business, how has the incredible inflationary price of houses impact you? I mean, my house
It's
was
getting
worth,
difficult.
mine was $220, now it's worth $350.
Yeah.
It's one of those things,
Yeah, it's been very difficult. The
How
cost
is
of
it difficult?
The cost of construction is crazy.
I have a buddy that builds commercial buildings. He said
Yeah.
it takes a year to get an electrical panel.
I would believe it. We're having a hard time meeting all of our deadlines to build our homes as well because of some of those challenges.
And that's mostly a supply chain problem, right?
I
It's
can't
not that
answer
there's
that.
not wood. I mean.
It's a variety of things. I'd have to talk to our contractor to tell you for sure. But I definitely can say that we've had some delays over time, and part of it's been on our part. We've had some staff changes, things like that. But it's just supply chain, and the cost has been crazy. That's why we're so grateful for like the land bank opportunities, so that we weren't having to pay full price for property.
Okay, so I come to you, lost my job, handicap, whatever, 3 kids, 38 years old, all that stuff, and my wife works a minimum wage job or
Yeah.
something. You see the picture, right? Under the poverty guidelines, and we build the house, you build the house for us. Do I have any incurring costs? That's number one. And do I inherit this $200,000 house immediately?
Okay. So our new homeowners actually are people who are probably a little more stable than what you just described. They usually have.
Because you want to be able to make them. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're purchasing this home. They're just not purchasing it at the price that they might pay.
I didn't know that.
Someone else. Okay. So they're purchasing the home. They will have a mortgage. But sometimes we have grants that help them with their down payment.
Who writes those mortgages?
We work with different.
Regular banks? Regular mortgages?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's the key? Why couldn't they do that without you?
Because they can get either lower interest because of the arrangements that we make for them, or because we can help them with down payment assistance, or there's some kind of forgivable loan that's provided.
And you probably build smaller than commercial houses too. That is easier for them.
Yeah, I would say.
1,500 feet instead of 25. That
maybe
kind of thing.
something like that. Yeah. So they're still 2-bedroom homes. They're still 2-bath homes. Whatever we can put on the lot that we have. And
most of the homes you build are for 3 or more people.
I think we can
Maybe
do.
not senior,
We can do
I guess.
anything. We can do. It doesn't matter. It depends on.
I just think
they're.
there'll be more struggles with bigger families trying to
build a houses for
Yeah.
bigger family? Yeah, probably. But if we could find a piece of property to do it for, we could.
But most of the seniors that you do it for, those seniors are mainly getting remodeling assistance.
Correct.
and
We
stuff of that
don't
nature.
typically have new homeowners be seniors. Usually those are the home repairs. Yeah, because you want somebody who's going to be able to take on that mortgage and pay off their mortage. Just
Well, there's
like
equity
you
in
and
it. Doesn't matter. They write anything I want them to write, and I'm 68 years old. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Of course, my wife is in her 40s, so it's a little bit different. But she's the boss, and but the point is still the same. My income and everything else would write it. But if I die tomorrow, they're going to come get their house if somebody can't pay for it. So I think age is a little bit different if you got means.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a 95% mortgaged house, they get a little concerned when you're older, probably.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends in that business. I've never asked that question.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's getting more personal.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. I think a lot of times what our typical client that would be getting a new home is typically somebody who's been renting, right?
That makes sense.
And what you pay for rent and what you pay for your utilities, by the time you've paid for that for X number of years, if you could have just been putting that into a home and building your own self-worth by building equity in your home and becoming a taxpayer, there's so many wonderful things about becoming self-sufficient in that manner. So
We're not having to depend on somebody else, too, sometimes.
absolutely, and living in a home that's safe and secure and new and
Single parents are okay, kids are okay.
absolutely.
So you have no real demographic restrictions.
other than income. Yeah, they do have to fulfill certain income requirements.
They have to be under a level
Yes.
and also over a level.
Yeah, you got to fit that magic spot.
They have to be employed?
They got to have some kind of income usually, or if
Or they
they're
wouldn't qualify, yeah.
or if they're on disability, that's income. That's
Okay.
as long as they have some kind of proof of income. Yeah.
I got it. That makes sense. So let me give you all a number out there. See if Chandler can get it up. in the next few minutes. I heard him breathe. You hear that?
Yeah, I heard him
He
breathe,
wasn't
too.
happy about that. But there's many numbers. Obviously, you've heard how great this organization is. But if you need help, the Household Assistance Program is probably the best way to get a live person that's not an admin or whatever that can help you directly. And 865 we'll take for granted. 483-6028. 483-6028. Call ADFAC. Tell them what's going on. And let's get into school. They can direct you to school supplies. They can take you anywhere you need to go. Let me go. They were located at Oak Ridge Turnpike at the Presbyterian Church. If you know where New York Avenue, which I grew up on, all the way to the top, you come all the way down the Turnpike. It's right there, catty corner on the left, across from First Baptist, before you get to Zaxby's. Right there on the corner.
Right next to the
Great
donut.
people,
Right
too.
next to the donut shop.
Master Donut, whatever the donut shop's
Yeah,
called.
next to the
Somebody
donut place.
I'm not allowed to go near there. Doctor's orders. That's it. They're open Monday through Thursday,
Yes,
closed tomorrow.
correct. We're not open on Fridays. Correct.
But you're 8:30 to 12 and 1 to 4:30. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, just so much going on there. And they're located in that building. If you go up to that first, you got to go around back. Your office is in the back, right?
Yeah,
It's a bigger church than it looks like from the
It
road.
is. So the church actually has like 3 buildings on the property, and
That's
so
correct.
we're in like what's called like an administrative building.
Almost
And
an
it's-
annex, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it looks kind of a U shape, and so our offices actually face the turnpike. So we're on that end of the building.
Who else
that
has
faces
an
the
office there
turnpike.
besides you and the church?
Just the
anyway?
church, just the church in ADFAC. We take up a whole wing of that building.
Yeah. Pretty big church. Presbyterians do a good job.
They take great care of us.
Yeah, they do a great job. Okay, so tell me about the Egg Spectacular.
Okay, we do have this other little fundraiser. It's called the Egg Spectacular.
That's
It's-
the fun stuff, yeah.
It's basically a raffle, and so the tickets will go on sale usually about 3 or 4 weeks before the event.
Aren't
The
you allowed
event-
to do one a year, right? A 501c3?
Yeah, if you do the paperwork, you got to do the paperwork with the state of Tennessee.
you
So
do.
we
Yeah,
do
you
the
do.
paperwork with the state of Tennessee,
So you're
and then you
taking
can
a
do your
chance.
raffle. And so ours is going to be, I believe it's actually April 15th. I feel like it's tax day.
Yeah, it's Friday the 15th. Is it an in-person raffle?
No, so it would be on a Saturday.
No.
So I got the wrong date.
No, 18th is a Monday, so 15th has to be a Friday.
So it must be the 16th.
Okay, whatever. That weekend.
It's that weekend. I'm sorry.
I
Follow.
got
You have to go to our website or
And
Facebook.
I could be wrong on the date.
I may have the wrong date too. So, anyways, it's that Saturday in April. The tickets go on sale online for a few weeks before. People can go and buy the tickets. They're like $1 a ticket. You can buy X amount of tickets, and it's a 50-50 raffle. So
What do you win, an egg?
you win half of the pot.
Why do they call it Egg Spectacular?
Because we originally started it with something different right before 2020 and before COVID, and we kind of had to rearrange, and so it just kind of became a raffle instead. But the eggs became kind of a theme, and so it's like you're buying an egg. You're not really buying an egg. You don't get an egg, but it's like you're,
want
theoretically
an egg.
getting an egg, and then that's your chance. Your egg is your chance.
You know, they always had that duck race. O&L has that duck race.
It was kind of that thought in the beginning.
Yeah.
I won't lie, but it didn't take off because
The
of.
employees of O&L Credit Union couldn't wait till that thing was over.
I
They
bet it
really
was-
do.
I bet it was a
They
lot of
were
work.
Dying. I mean, the tellers and everybody. They'd say, "How long does this last? Are we going to do this next year?"
Well,
and
this is-
they believed in the cause, but it's just really right, a lot of maintenance in that.
I will say this is our last year doing the Egg Spectacular.
What?
We've made that decision. We're going to move our raffle option to next year. We're going to have a murder mystery, and so it's going to be a different event, and it's going to be next spring.
That's got to go because I go home, I go to work, I go everywhere. All I hear is Murdoch this or Idaho this. People love that. I'm a sports guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And I like sports, and politics. But I mean, these reality shows on crime are just off the charts.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of research. We've had 2 other murder mysteries, actually 3 now, and they're very well attended. People seem to really love them.
Do they get to participate?
Oh yeah. Like they get assigned a
No
character.
shooting, though. Nothing,
no,
no
nothing
murder.
like that.
The
but
murder's
they get
already done, right?
They get assigned a character, and they can
Oh,
dress
really?
up, and they can be in that character when they get there. And people
How many
really
people
seem-
come to these things?
The last one we had, I want to say we were like 60 or 70.
How do you
maybe?
do a play with 60 people to figure
Well,
it out?
they do it like in sections at their tables. It's kind
Oh.
of complicated and but fun. And so we've done 3, and we're skipping this year for a couple of reasons, and then we're going to have one next spring. So, and we're going to move our raffle to that event instead.
Yeah, you get more people there.
Yeah.
Sell more tickets.
Yeah,
That's
you got
pretty
it.
Good.
Yeah, it'll
That's
be fun.
pretty good.
It'll be
Okay.
fun.
So, do you have a lease at the church, or do you just monthly?
We
just reach out.
We don't even pay rent. We pay.
I knew that.
We pay for the utilities, and we pay for the nice man to take out the trash. But that's what we pay for. So
ADFAC has become a part of their narrative and history there at First United Presbyterian Church.
It really has.
It's almost them reaching out and doing things.
They treat us like we are their own, and we could not be more blessed by that because.
Absolutely.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. We had to get Hadley back on here for a conclusion.
Yeah, where's Hadley?
That's it. It is good. Tell me a little bit about. I want to talk about Bill Wilcox for just a second.
Okay, sure.
So
I'll be happy to talk
why
about
does
Bill.
Barry Stevenson? What does he? Obviously, I know who Barry is.
Okay.
Tremendous guy, very. What makes him the Bill Wilcox? How do you evaluate people on that?
Okay, it's a really good.
Because I knew Bill. I mean, I went to school with Kitty and Martha
Okay.
and Bill.
I love
I'm
them.
in the middle of them. So.
Okay, good. I love them. I've had the great opportunity of getting to know the three of them through this process over the last 11 years. So they're all three really neat people. I'm
And so when I
grateful
think
for
of them, I can tell you their ages because I think of 68,
Because
70,
they're your age.
75.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well, they're not my age. I just know when they graduate. Go
Well, I
ahead.
will tell you got your math wrong earlier because I just turned 54, not 55,
When did you turn 54?
last week. Or this week,
Well,
Monday.
you're probably smart and started.
No, I have a February birthday.
Mine too.
So I graduated in 87 as
What day in February?
27th. It was Monday.
17th. Yeah, I saw it on. Yeah, I saw it
See?
on. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Social media. Great.
Okay,
Happy
so
birthday.
what were you talking about? You asked me Bill Wilcox. Bill Wilcox.
What a man.
Yeah, cool man who was very committed to the community, right?
Yes.
And volunteered for a lot of different nonprofits and gave a lot of different ways to the community. So how we select our person is somebody who reflects those same kind of characteristics. Somebody who's giving to the community, somebody who is somehow related to ADFAC, whether they're just, a friend of the organization in some way, and somebody who just shows that kind of love and concern for the community. And this year, Barry Stevenson was the selected person, and he's been involved in all kinds of different nonprofits, but he's the president of McLink, and basically brought that company to where it is today. And he treats his whole entire staff as like his family. Like you talk to him, and he talks about his staff like they're his family.
Small business and stuff.
Absolutely. And we met with his wife last week. Don't tell Barry, but we met with his wife last week to learn about
Might be hard, yeah.
more about Barry and about his life, and it was just really neat to hear about his history.
Does he know your honor?
Yes, he does. We
I was
told him a
gonna say,
couple
he
of
does
weeks.
now.
No, we surprised him a couple of weeks ago, and that was lots of fun. So no, he knows. He knows it's coming. He just doesn't know.
It's
all
always
the things we're gonna do.
encouraging to me to see successful people doing more than just writing a check at church.
Absolutely.
They're actually out there doing stuff and making a difference. There's so many people that have benefited from this city and this area.
Agreed.
That there's a lot to do. And that goes from Morgan County. I know 3 or 4 very well-to-do people in Morgan County who have given back to everything they do.
Makes a difference.
Tell us about your husband. What does he do? Your sister. Yeah.
Okay, so
somebody, you got to have a partner, right?
My husband is my partner. He's
That's
a phenomenal man. His name is Ron, and we've been married 26 years.
Wow.
So,
what does he do?
He works for a company called RBM Services here in Oak Ridge.
Okay. Yeah, he went to right behind me. He was behind me at St. Mary's School. Well behind me, but I remember the name very well. His parents.
Yeah.
And your sister? Let's brag on her.
I've got 2 sisters actually.
Well, let's brag on the.
I got my sister Greta, who's.
Okay, we all know Greta. Everybody knows Greta.
Greta's been involved in a lot of different things in Oak Ridge.
Oh,
and
she's been great.
She's awesome. And then my other sister is named Tamara, and Tamara lives in Clinton and works at ORNL.
Wow.
So I have a wonderful family.
What Tamara do at ORNL?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, you're like me.
Yeah, you got me. I don't know. She's done some marketing. She's done some other things like that too.
Yeah.
So
it's a good organization. It's completely different. All the plants are different. I work with them. I work for an engineering firm. I have interactions with all of the plants, and they're all very different. And it's interesting. They're unique.
We have a cool city.
Yeah, we really do. And energy gets a lot of credit for that.
Yep.
A lot of money comes through this town. $7 billion in this area, and an impact. Only 32% of those people are Anderson County residents. I mean, I grew up on a street where you had a Nobel Prize winner down the street. Alvin Weinberg was 8 houses down. So it was just a wonderful place to grow up. So many successful, skilled people.
Agreed.
I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You got a lot of important stuff. We need to help.
I appreciate it.
We need to get out and help wherever we can.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys. How much time?
10.
10. Hallie's not going to make it, is she? That's a beautiful
That's okay.
golden retriever.
She's
though.
a sweet dog.
All right. Well, folks, get out there and let's help ADFAC.
Thank you.
Thank you.